to Down the Line TV, Charmaine Enculescu. How are you today, legend?
I'm very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I've been talking you up because I think you're an absolute rock star. Just before,
She really has.
Before anyone else hears anything else about you, this is how you be a rock star. We met each other. I did a presentation. We talked about a couple of things at a Brisbane TA conference. And then the next year after that, you came back and you volunteered straight up to go out and do my drills.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. Like, I know people who have been 20 in the world that don't, they're so intimidated and nervous to go out and hit a ball in front of people, let alone Boris Becker, who was rolling in after we got finished. And then you just went after it. Talk to us about how are you that person?
I think actually doing my PhD made me develop a lot of socializing skills, because one of the biggest things I learned is like you don't get anywhere in life without building connections, and the only way you can do that is if you make yourself uncomfortable and you put yourself out there. So I remember coming in to that hitting session with you. I came in cold. I was like, I haven't hit
Dead set cold.
No stretch. No
I was like, this is atrocious. But like, that was the only way I was going to learn, if I could do it myself. And like, I put myself in that experience, and then from there I can, teach my kids or teach my clients.
Awesome.
And she nailed it. I will tell you, she nailed it. And I can't remember if Boris said it to me or someone else. He's like, who was that girl? Like, she was amazing.
Wow. A big
Oh my goodness.
Number one dream in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Boom, boom, Charmaine, yumta. Anyway, let's get back on course here. Before we switch over to my next question, just tell us what you're doing your PhD in.
So my PhD was essentially looking into the effects of alcohol use disorder on the human brain. So I did that from kind of perspective of two different disciplines. One was a cognitive neuroscience perspective, and the other was molecular biochemistry. And somehow I created that into my thesis, and I block it out of my mind now because it was a struggle for 4 years, but I am glad that I did get it done.
Wow. So we now see that you can execute a drill cold, you're a genius, and you're a magnanimous human being. Tell us a little bit about your tennis coaching goals.
So my tennis coaching goals, I guess, at the present time, is really developing junior players. I think that's where I do have my strength in, just because I find I can connect with the children quite well. Mm-hmm. And I personally think I have that experience to be a performance coach, like where I would like to transition into that. There's just not many opportunities available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you, just on touching on that, is what do you feel is required for you to maybe take that step forward to high performance coaching?
For me, I think I need to personally develop my playing a bit more. Like, I'm still trying to play a couple tournaments, still trying to get more experience on the tour. I kind of want to play a couple of ITFs before I do transition, because it's just a lot easier to kind of sell yourself to a client if you can say, yeah, I've had experience in the tour. It makes you more reliable. So there's that. And also I just need to build up my coaching experience in general with performance juniors rather than just hot shots juniors.
Yeah. If I was to tell you that you already play a high enough standard, and you, from what I've learned from you talking to you, know enough about the game, I'm not saying that I am the end all be all, know everything about tennis, but have coached a Grand Slam champion and a lot of really great players, and you believed me that I told you your playing standard was enough. Let's separate that. What do you need? Let's take that out of the equation, because it is a thing, and I understand that, and I'm hearing you. But it wouldn't matter if you then were 400 in the world. That's just not a box that you have to check. What else do you need? What does that look like?
Tough. That's a tough question, because I've convinced you, because you've had experience in the WTA and you've had experience as a high performance coach, but how do I convince everybody else? Because you're so close to, like, you're pretty much horizontal from it. Like, I can't sell myself to somebody else. I can't say I've been on tour with like Alexander Krunic. Like, I don't have the resume, I guess.
Well, you could call her. She might roll you in as a coach. I don't know.
But we need to create opportunities, don't we? I think.
Correct.
I think in Australia, especially, we need to keep, creating opportunities. Whether it's you come in and get on a court with a Sarah, or you get on the court with a Nicole Pratt, or you get on court with a whole bunch of other, even obviously male coaches as well. And spend your time with these guys under the wing of someone who can show you some of that support, and also, feedback can be a really scary thing.
Yes.
There are a lot of coaches, but I think we have so many great coaches in this country that I think are very personable people who can provide that. So I just keep believing in yourself, and I think keep giving yourself opportunities to ask these questions to our coaches, because they are willing to help.
It is interesting, Boo, because again, Charmaine's saying to me, like, I can see it.
Yeah.
And I am more than qualified enough, I believe, to make that judgment that you are good enough by far. And how do we get beyond that, me seeing it? You haven't convinced me. No one convinces me of anything. I can form fully my own opinion.
Yeah.
And it would never be influenced by you saying, hey, can you advocate for me? I'm a very authentic truth follower. You're enough, and you're good enough right where you are. We need to put the female coaches in an environment where they can be seen by more decision makers to give them opportunities is really the truth, right?
Yeah, essentially. And then to expand on that, I got to say, for my junior development course, which if viewers don't know, that's the pretty much standard course you do to become a qualified coach. I had asked Ashleigh Richardson to be my supervisor, and that actually afforded me a lot of opportunities, because he let me on court to coach the under 12s at the National Academy, and I got a lot of first-hand experience. But what it did was it put my name up there as yes, Charmaine's qualified because she's been at NA, she's coached the under 12s. That I was able to build a bigger client base. But had I hadn't had that opportunity, I don't think I would be where I am now.
Sure, that's a really good point.
It's a really good point.
Richo is one of the, he's a great coach, he's a great person, and they're the type of personalities you really want to have your first experiences with on court in a high performance environment. So that's good on you.
Yeah, and I was actually very surprised that he, let me come on court, because essentially I was pulling my hair and I couldn't find a supervisor for my JD, and then I seen him coaching around, and so I sent him a Facebook message. I was like, you don't know me, but I know you.
Oh, that's not creepy at all.
You stepped up, and the thing is, not everybody is going to be able to do that. And what we're going to have to do as a collective, the male and female coaches who want to see women coaches go forward, is to create opportunities for people who don't necessarily take that leap. You shouldn't just go, oh, they're over there, that's their fault, they can't step up. What can we do to bring them up is our job. What do you coach?
Look, I've got to be honest. At first, I got into coaching because I was looking for money for my PhD. But I really enjoyed it. You get a satisfaction out of, putting in the effort and then seeing somebody make little achievements that just, that just make them happy. I like to see people happy after achieving things, Yeah. It's gratifying.
That's a really good one. It keeps coming up that really, every time we ask that question, it is the number one thing that seems to constantly come up. It's a real common comment. So, you're amongst a lot of really great company there.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be the reason why people keep doing it. You can't be so extrinsically motivated to coach. Otherwise, you're going to hate it. If I just did it for the money, I just, I wouldn't be coaching still.
Many do, and it's really interesting that we're interviewing in this series female coaches, and that comes through over and over from female coaches. And I'm not saying it doesn't come through from male coaches, but when we look at why do we need more female coaches in the game, that's a real reason. That's that whole, we've heard it from everybody, and that's a great thing. That's the thing that keeps coming forward from female coaches. Yeah, I care about that athlete achieving and the personal satisfaction and joy you feel through their accomplishments is why we need to be talking about that selfless environment, that's service, a true position service, not a pretend one.
Yeah. And like, it's really interesting because like, I think about that and then I think about my junior career and I'm like, if I had a female coach that nurtured me throughout my junior career, like, would I have quit when I was 16 or would I still be playing? I think like that problem is quite systemic, is that like, I was told when I was a junior, if you weren't 16 or 18 and making it on tour, like, you have no future in the sport. And that's simply not true nowadays. The science and like, you know, everything around it has prolonged your tennis career essentially. But like, if you look at the prevalence of females playing through 18s to like 22, like within Australia, like it's such a drop off. Like, when I try to find a hit, like just on like a weekday, it's so hard because all the girls are in school. Like,
it's really true. That's really, really true. And I think that's a problem across the whole entire country. Is how do we keep our girls playing the sport and actually playing it for what it is and giving themselves opportunities to stay in the sport, because as we can see, we're not really peaking until sort of mid-20s and probably even later. So we've got to have a message of seeing it, number one, as part of your well-being. The fact that you enjoy it's got to be absolutely number one priority, and it's having people behind you that believe in what you're doing. And I think, you know, and
like, you don't truly start to enjoy playing until you get a bit older. Like, the mentality kind of changes. You're no longer motivated because your parents are making you do it. It becomes, you know, a sport that you do for yourself.
Sure. Well, just on the back of that, what's one like of your most memorable moments as a coach?
I think as a coach, it wasn't necessarily coaching a junior. It was like an adult. I had this really persistent woman who just keeps coming back for more lessons.
I love it.
She wants 5 hours a week. You know, she wants to be on court all the time. But like, I think for me, what happened was like, I remember I like filmed her serve, like maybe second lesson into her playing. And then like 2 years down the track, I filmed it again because like she was convinced she wasn't getting better. She's like, tennis so much. Like, I haven't seen any results. And I was like, hold up. And I showed her the difference, and the look on her face, to me, like, that was priceless. I was like, this is why I coach.
I love it. Big Brother's watching.
Well, hey, whatever we got to do to make it work, and that can be a thing for females, that they really judge themselves really harshly, the perfectionist mentality, because of those systemic things, social pressure, and by doing that video in a safe way, you've been able to show her that and use evidence-based, because we're beating ourselves down so much. And it's a great thing. You are a very knowledgeable person. You're a bright star, someone I personally really love being around. Can't wait to see you when we're allowed across the border. We're back in December.
Come on, Dan.
Thank you for sharing your time and insights. It's been absolutely fascinating listening to it and for sharing that with everyone.
Thank you.
You're a rock star.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Charmaine. Welcome to Downline TV, Dubrovka Dubs Kupak.
How are you? How are you girls?
We're great.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We're bubble babes, bubbling it together here, socially spaced, and
not enough.
Never enough for her. I can never get close enough. Been super excited to talk to you. I haven't seen a lot of you while I've been gone and followed what you've been doing, and it's just ace to have such a high caliber for you. Ranked around 300 in the world, WTA player, played Grand Slam qualies, and these are the quality coaches that we have in Australia, the women coaches.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a bit of a wrap. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me, girls. Really wrapped to be obviously invited to have a chat, and always good to catch up with both of you. Obviously known you for a very, very long time, showing my age, and obviously you guys as well. But no, it's been fun. It's been good.
Well, Dubs, so what have you been up to since you, retired off the tour? I know you've got 4 beautiful kids, and that keeps you very busy.
Yes.
How are you still staying involved in the tennis sport?
I guess obviously after having the children, got in part-time working with an old friend from juniors. So kind of started in that way, just more as a passion and just trying to get me out and about of the house, I guess. And then just starting working at Office Tennis Club at the moment, doing part-time work there, trying to, I guess, get obviously more females into the game and using that aspect, but just working, I think, about 15 hours a week at the moment, obviously outside of COVID time, and just working with, I think they were generally junior tournament players and stuff like that, and obviously Saturday morning comp players and things like that, and just getting in that way. So I haven't been involved too much. I have done a few Super 10s and things like that, but just enough where it's keeping me in the loop kind of thing, but also being able to stay home. Obviously my kids are quite young, so just trying to have that work-life balance with them, but still keeping my foot in the door and just enjoying it.
Yeah, good on you.
Does what a lot of people don't realise is there's dead set superstars like you, and you are a coach, but you are a female, and there's this thing out there that there's no great female coaches, or there's such a lack of female coaches, and in reality, it's not completely true. We just aren't seeing you. You're not, these coaches like yourself are not visible. What are some of your coaching goals?
Look, I agree with you. There is a lot more, I guess, since I've started back in the coaching world, have noticed there is so many more female coaches out there that we are unaware of ourselves as ladies. So the fact that you guys are jumping on and I guess getting to know all of us is awesome, and obviously networking and getting us to know each other and obviously push each other along, which is awesome. But look, my personal coaching goals in the years to come, I guess once my kids get a lot older and I can step away from them a little bit freely, is to take teams away. Obviously that's something I did a lot of as a junior, like your junior Fed Cups, New South Wales teams and things like that. Is I think bonding, especially with females, team orientated groups and things like that, is going to be beneficial for them. But I think because I've done it and got a lot of experience doing that, that's something that I definitely want to be doing. And just experiencing that with them and knowing how things work. And I think that's where I think a lot of players grow, is from those trips. They learn about themselves, they learn about the game, obviously world game. A lot of Australian people don't understand what it's like overseas to play. It's very different.
Great point.
So I think that's eventually, again, I don't know times and things like that. It's just going to depend on my personal life and how the kids go. But eventually down the track, that's probably my end goal, is to be able to take teams and go from there.
Dubs, before we change direction on that, so that's a question because of mothers, right? There's this part of you that has to stay at home. And then there's that thing, women can't travel, etc., etc., etc. Okay, we're talking about a time that you could travel down the road. What can you do right now? How can you be involved? How can mothers of your skill level and knowledge of the game be involved without having to be in that travelling capacity?
I think my circumstance at the moment, obviously separated from their dad, so it makes it hard because I can't, like normally I'd be like, okay, book it in advance, we can make it work, they can stay home, there's babysitting, available, and you can kind of plan around it. Obviously, as a mum, you're all very, very organised, or we try and be, but having that where you can kind of go, I'm booked in for this month, I'm going to be travelling, sort out babysitting and things like that. If it's organised in advance, it can make, we can make it work. I think at the moment for me is being able to maybe, I guess, get to know the more elite players that are going to be doing that, and having smaller trips, maybe not so, maybe not going to Europe, going more local, things like that, more domestic, where it's not as, I guess, a big time frame that's taken out of the kids' lives. My kids are pretty chilled and pretty understanding, and obviously my daughter does play occasionally as well, so they understand what I guess is expected and what I do. So I'm sure they'd be more than happy to, go, Mum, you're good to go. You can take off for a bit. But I think that is another element that's very hard for mums, especially as coaches, that we feel guilty if we leave our kids, but at the same time, we're ambitious and we want to grow. So we almost, I guess, work in a limbo state, kind of state until we get that opportunity. But I think there is room to, I guess, learn and evolve and be able to find avenues where we can take off and do things like that, because tennis changes so quickly, so you can't put things on hold and be like, I'll jump back in 10 years. You can't really do that. So
it's so many really interesting things you're saying there, Does, because it's on a lot of mothers' minds. And I think I have a family like everybody else at home, and you do feel guilty when you take off to pursue a more elite kind of venture. So thank you for expressing that, and I think it's pretty clear that we need to be able to provide female coaches more opportunities just to
work with them. What do we say? Oh, you're a mother?
Well,
What
it's
we
funny.
have to do as an industry, right? We need to
Yeah.
put in, how do we work with mothers with these commitments? How do we make this work?
Yeah, it's so true. I've had a client actually say that to me, use the words, you know, you are a mother and you're only part-time, you're not a full-time coach. And I'm like, whoa, like,
Pretty much.
you know, it does hurt. It does hurt when you hear things like that, especially when you guys know as well, when you have an elite tournament player, you put in time out of your personal time. You go out there and you do things that you know, that eat into your personal life. And so I think, like I said, there is definitely opportunity to learn and push that with mums. And people, obviously, some, I'm guessing women out there are holding off on having families because they feel like they can't. So I think that is also another thing that needs to get looked at.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dubs. Bit of change of pace. Why do you coach?
Why do I coach? Wow. Obviously, number one, as you know, both would be the same, the love of the game. The tactical side, the mental state, there is so many avenues and room to move and grow that, as a coach, you grow, but learning and teaching your pupils. So whatever they need to learn to get better at the end of the day, at the end of their session, that drive, that look on their face when they finish off the court, you know, obviously when they come on the court, they're pretty pumped. So, you know, excited and smiley. And so I love that, but then being able to be a part of their growth, whether it be on court, obviously coaching is a lot about mentoring as well. So being able to change their lives and just giving them what I learned, I guess, making it fun as mine was, you know, practicing and training when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Doug, talking about that fun and the good times and things like that, close us out with one of your favourite coaching memories.
Coaching memory. Okay, so I had a really good junior who started off with me. Wasn't quite high ranked, but one of our first outings where I went to watch her, she came up against a girl who actually got coached by a guy that used to coach me at some point.
Oh.
So we got to play our pupils, which was pretty cool. And my girl had never beaten this girl before. I didn't say anything about knowing the coach, obviously, but she stepped up and actually had one of those out of mind matches and snapped this girl very, very efficiently. And it was great. It was really, really good, but she was pumped. It was one of those games where, obviously, you know, fist pump pupil to coach outside the fence. It was really, really good, and everything kind of fell into play for her. So it was good for me because I could resonate with that. Obviously, I used to get pumped up a fair bit. So it was really good to, I guess, have that kind of sink in with her and let her experience that, and me obviously sitting on the side. So that was probably the best coaching moment for me to date.
So
Awesome.
that's a pretty great way to finish off.
Yeah, it fills you up. It's not always about, did someone win their first ever match at 7? For some people, it's not more important saying I was in the seat when a Grand Slam winner won.
Yeah.
It's about the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what.
Oh, she, like I said, she was thrilled. I'm pretty sure she went on to win that tournament, beating a couple of other high-ranked girls. So it was just one of those, I guess, that pivotal tournament coach pupil experience where we were like, all right, we've got something good here, let's push on. So it was really good just for her to get that under her belt, and it was good to obviously be a part of it. So.
Oh, good on you, Dubs. You've got a lot to offer, and you know, I want to say thank you for taking your time out today to talk to us and on a Saturday afternoon and give us a little bit of an update on what you've been up to. So we wish you all the very best.
Thanks, girls. Thanks so much for the call up, and always good talking to you, chicks. Take it easy.
See you, Dubs.
Welcome to Downline TV, Sevvy Gallios.
Hey guys, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We love always seeing your face around.
It's good to see you, legend. We won't tell anyone, but we'll tell everyone it's been a little bit of a technical battle to get your face around.
I know.
It hasn't been kind, has it?
We've all learned new skills, haven't we, during COVID?
That's right. And I think for me, my IT skills haven't been that that great, but yeah, it's all good.
Here now, so that's all that matters, Sevs.
Yeah.
She's come to New York. So for the Americans that are listening to this,
we were all there.
She's had a little bit of the Big Apple, or whatever they say it's called, and spent some time with us in New York.
I adore you. You're one of my very closest, dearest friends. I've known you since we were 8 years old, and I don't think, Stoney, there's anyone more determined. You're constantly you're just always wanting to expand your brain, you're wanting to learn, you're wanting to grow as a person. And I've loved seeing that journey.
Yeah.
Hey, Sev, we're going to ask you some cool questions about coaching tennis. We're talking to lots of the girls and see where they're at. First thing we want to ask you is, now that, especially during COVID, you've had some time to sort of assess what you've achieved, things you're doing now, what you would like to do in the future. What kinds of things would you like to achieve, and what are your goals in coaching from here and going forward?
Yeah. I think for me, it's definitely been surrounded by like-minded people. When you step in on the tennis court, you're there also for that player and that player's development. Definitely being surrounded in that environment where coaches like ourselves are wanting that for our players. That, I think, for me, it's definitely one of my goals, and that's I want to be surrounded by that.
In that higher performance environment, you mean?
For sure, definitely. I think through sort of, my past experiences as a player, as a kid and stuff, I can now really even draw back on those experiences and give so much to some of the junior players, and especially at that sort of that elite level too as well. I've gone through it. I've gone through all the ups and downs with it, and having the experience at that level, playing sort of internationally, I can give that to those players.
You can, and I think people don't realise, you're a very good junior.
Yeah.
I think you had a lot of international experiences and travel that a lot of our juniors probably at this point aren't always getting. I think you were exposed to an international level pretty early on. And for a fact, you also come into some sessions with Tennis Australia in the past where, as been a mentor to some of our best junior girls. So as not only a mentor, friend, coach. So you've kind of really been able to influence a lot of your energy and put that onto a lot of our players. So we need to say thank you for your time there in the past. I wanted to ask you, why do you coach?
Okay, so for me, I really do get a buzz of, when I see sort of my players on the tennis court or even off the tennis court, just progress as people, first and most important, and then as an athlete. Through sort of even my personal experience, which there was a part there that I wasn't in an environment that wasn't great for me in a period of that, during that time. And I just feel like I want to give that positive environment and that safety environment for a player. I think that's the most important thing is safety, that player being in a safe environment for them to obviously flourish and for them to grow.
It's really important, isn't it? I don't think a lot of coaches talk about that. I think we're all pretty deep thinkers here, and I think it's really important what you're saying, because a lot of the time we're hearing similar messages, and your message is a little bit unique in the fact that you're talking about safety, giving that player the ability to feel comfortable in the environment to grow as a player and come to you and discuss things that you maybe as a player couldn't do when you were younger. So I think it's creating
that's right, and like you said too,
kind of environment that the player can feel.
For sure. And I think even just coping skills, when you're a kid as well too, at that moment, I think, for me, I was the type of person that I bottled a lot of things inside, and I didn't ask for help that I probably needed at that time or didn't speak out. So, I want to make sure that when there is a player on the tennis court, that they're able to do that. Then sort of obviously challenging them in different ways, and on the tennis court and stuff. But I think for me, when I look back, I think that's been the main thing.
Yeah, super, Sev.
I think what you're speaking to, Sev, is something that is potentially lacking in the way that we prepare our coaches for their careers.
Yep.
I know that myself as a coach, there's been times where I haven't got it right. And I feel like through the journey of being into the space of coach education, I've really looked hard at the kind of environment that I would provide for the player. How am I able to make space for the player? How am I able to listen? How am I best able myself to be responsible for my emotional stability and my side? And I think raising a really important point, not only do we need people from your experience to share, like, what is that raw reality? You're being very raw with us. And then we need the other side where there's that coach education piece that prepares coaches to be successful rather than rely on their ancestral energy or whatever that they go onto the court with and sets them up to fail. And that's, we want to hear more of that from you, Sev, when you're able to, the more you can share such a valuable contribution to our tennis and to our sport. Absolutely. And our people. Brings us to ask you a really important question. What are one of your favourite coaching memories, and why is that so important to you?
There's been sort of, you know, some players that I've coached where actually sort of probably more boys that I have coached, that within their sort of birth year, they were sort of number one in Victoria, and there was one that was highly ranked in Australia in his birth year, and I was coaching for 4 years, and it was good just to see that sort of, you know, that progression. But definitely there was one boy, another boy who had, it was either autism or Asperger's, and his listening skills were incredible. When he stepped out on the tennis court, you could just see that passion and that love for the sport, and he was, you know, the willingness to learn, to implement. I think that was his way out as well. Like I don't know, like he was really fixed on it. And, you know, I coached him for about 5 years, and, you know, you could really see him sort of definitely improve a lot, not only on the tennis court, but he also just got the confidence off the tennis court as well. And he, you know, when I first started with him, he was like, he didn't pick up he just started to pick up a tennis racket when I first kind of met him and saw him, and yeah, he was like new to the game, and just definitely a special moment there.
Well, Sevvy, I just really, before we wrap this up, I did want to ask one more question. What do you need personally to continue to grow as a coach? That's great.
Yeah. For sure. Like I need to put myself, I need to expose myself, and I think I need to.
Yes, Sevvy.
Finally. Yeah, like, look, even doing this, you know, like, this is me just speaking, you know, completely raw. Like it's a big thing, you know, like, or even just, for instance, doing the JD course, it wasn't really the content itself. It was more just being back in that sort of, in that tennis environment and all that. And yeah, I think I've learned, and I'm definitely getting better with it, but learning that, you know, you need to be vulnerable as well, and you need to be yourself to sort of, to be able to, you know, live the path that you want to live.
Great stuff, Sev. Now, we love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being honest, raw, and being yourself. And that's why, you know, I personally have been very good friends with you for such a long period of time.
And you know what, Bet, I want to thank you as well, because, you know, since, you've been there, like the ups and downs, and also I've known you, you know, for, you know, when I was a kid, you know, you've pushed me, and you've been an amazing friend.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
Good on you, Sev. Well done for being so awesome. Sarah. Your light and your energy, we appreciate it, and can't wait to do big things as soon as we're allowed out of our
I know, Tom. Awesome. Thank you, guys. See ya.
Welcome to Down the Line TV, Ashleigh Richardson.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know, thank you for making time for us. I have pre-warned you that we will probably go on some tangents in this segment, but no, thank you so much for joining us. Ash, how are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good considering. It's a nice day outside, so it brightens the spirits a little bit more with the lack of coaching, but going well. How about yourselves?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. You know,
Right.
I'm Sarah's bubble buddy, and this is a
My
great
bubble
way.
babe.
So we're just chilling. But we wanted to ask you a few questions today and sort of get to know what Ashleigh Richardson's about and where she's doing her phenomenal coaching.
Okay, let's go for it.
Where are you at right now? Tell us where you are. Where are you coaching? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm the head coach at Avita Tennis in Essendon, so at the Essendon Tennis Club. Been there for nearly 3 years, so yeah, absolutely love it there. Prior to that, I was at the Venator Club with Vita as well. But yeah, really beautiful, big community-based club, so really lucky to be there now.
And Ash, what are some of your coaching goals going from you're heading up a great organisation with we love Kane, you're doing well, you're getting kids into tennis, he's a good man.
Yeah.
Where you are now, do you have any other sorts of things that you want to achieve in your coaching career?
I think I'm really open to just continuing to grow and seeing where that takes me in lots of different directions. So with Vita, I've been doing a lot of work with coach education with our new coaches coming in. So not just at Essendon, overall across each of the venues. So I do find myself quite interested in that education and that pathway for coaches when they first start out, and then obviously going forward from that, if they do want to branch out into their own club, if there's ways that we can support that as well. From a coaching perspective, I've really focused probably a lot more on the hot shots and that development phase. So not just hot shots, but that phase, you know, that green ball to that intermediate hard ball kind of development to kind of create the best base that I can with any player that walks through the door. And then from that, obviously looking at what other things we need to add to the picture to give that player the chance to reach their goals. So I really tend to focus on participation first at the club. Just if we've got good quality coaches creating the best bases for the kids, then I guess then they can go anywhere with it. Wherever it takes them is perfect.
Unbelievably important role, and all I'm hearing is how invested and passionate you are. And I have heard by the grapevine that you are one of the hardest workers out there, actually. Thank you, Joanne Caratiana. She mentioned that, and from hearing what you're doing, I can honestly say that it just sounds like you're extremely busy and invested, and well done. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a fantastic job.
And a lot of things that we didn't know about you. I had no idea that you were really interested in that, helping coaches track towards success and what they want to do, and identifying that in the community, that there are many, many qualified, competent superstar females that can contribute to our industry.
I mean, I didn't know it, Ash. I hope I didn't come across as ignorant, but I really didn't spend a lot of time with you in the past. So it's so nice to hear what you're doing, and participation is, not spoken about probably enough. It is starting to get some traction, but the fact that you're passionate about that, we need more people in that part of tennis. So well done.
Thank you.
And Ash, why do you coach? Why are you a coach? Beyond you play really high level as a junior. I'm not sure if you went to college or not, but you're a very accomplished tennis player. Now you're a coach. Why coach?
I think like many people, you kind of just start with coaching just because that's what you know and what you feel comfortable with. But at the same time, so I didn't go to college. I did go straight into working as soon as I finished school. But coaching for me is just like, it's helping kids reach their goals, like whatever they are. So I love working with kids. We're super lucky to be able to work outside, and I'm so passionate about tennis as a sport. And then I think like that's just how it began. I don't think I really sought out to be a professional tennis coach when I first started, but just as I started doing it, just loved it more and more, and it just kept building to where it is today. So yeah, I think it's a lot of things. I love working with people, but like I said, more specifically kids. And I just like you're speaking about just looking at the female role models in our sport, in coaching especially. I think that as you delve deeper, you can't unknow what you know, and that really helps you keep feeling like, okay, what else can I do to give? What else can I learn? Like, how else can I contribute to a sport that obviously really, really changed my life for the better and has helped me through my journey through where I am now. So
I love it.
That was
That's so good.
That was a grenade round hit when you said you can't unknow what you know. And it's almost that we both are so far down this track. I was personally myself starting WTCA by mistake like you. I didn't intend on following any path. I just followed the universe. And now I can't unknow what I know and how I've been able to grow as a coach.
Yeah.
And we're all in it. We need to be all in it together to raise a collective, and you're a huge part of what that collective looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. No, I think growth is like key in everything. So if you're not pushing to challenge yourself and improve, and then with that knowledge, like you're saying with WTCA, Sarah, like with that knowledge, it's your role and our role to make sure that we're continuing to educate and help support that growth for others who might not be aware or want the support and things like that too.
Yeah, we certainly have some really important roles to play in the community. So, like I said, keep up the great work. And I'm going to hit you with a big one. What is one of your most memorable moments as a coach?
Okay, so yep, I think I have a fair few just like those moments every day where you just like see
into your head.
The first one that pops to my head, okay, I'm going to go with when we completed our 24-hour tennis marathon last year for charity. So not a specific working with one person, but just like as a coach, we ran a 24-hour marathon at the Essendon Tennis Club last year. We raised over $8,000, and we just had like just kids from our club, from outside of our club, from the community come through the doors, and just to see that many people support obviously us, but also just for the love of tennis to come and play. For like, we had kids stay and play for 24 hours, like that's unreal. So to create that platform and see that people wanted to do that, that definitely was probably the most just like happiness that I felt at the end of that, seeing so many people there. So I'm going to put that as number one.
Pretty sensational.
That's impressive. It's a great operation at Vita. Without champions for change, us female coaches trying to raise a collective, we're only going to get so far. And those males, like Kane Dewhurst, who are committed to putting women into positions like you're in, like Joe, what does that mean to you to have a mentor and a boss and somebody like that in your life that's a true advocate for women in tennis and women in general?
So I'm not too happy that you've thrown a let's talk about how wonderful Kane is in here, but I've been so lucky. Like, you hear so many horror stories, and I think initially when I came into coaching and I started doing some more courses, I actually couldn't comprehend the horror stories, because for me, like I said, I've been so lucky that being with Vita, like, so Kane Dewhurst and Vince Natoli actually coached me when I was 10 and moved to Melbourne. So the relationship began early on. And then, once I finished up playing and was looking to do some work, like, they were the people that I called. And I'm just so lucky to have someone who same, like, just growth mindset and, like you said, supportive of any pathway that I want to go down. How can he help with that? I think a lot of it has to do with trust too, and just like trusting that you're on the same kind of wavelength, and whatever that is, he's one of those people that you can kind of call and just be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. And he's like, okay, let's go, that type of thing. So he's really good on that as well. But yeah, like I said, just super lucky to have had that from the start. So I haven't had to go through a lot of those things that I think a lot of female coaches specifically have to go through too.
We all deserve that, right? That's what it should look like.
Well, it's funny because, Ash, I don't know if you remember this, but when I was actually still playing on the tour, and I think I was about 19, I financially was struggling to travel and whatnot. And Vita actually gave me an opportunity to mentor Maria Merkovic.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think you might have been around there at that time. There's a few others. They allowed me to do some coaching. They actually were really nice with me joining in their fitness sessions early in the morning, 6 o'clock. I remember this, 6 a.m. boxing sessions. I'll never forget that, running inside the gym, up and down the stairs.
I missed that memo.
Falling asleep at midday because I was so tired. They do an incredible job, and I know with even Jamie Fawless at the moment, they still continue any players that they've had in the past, they treat as their family. And I'll go into Vita down at the Veneto Club. They're always very welcoming, and they're great people, and I think they're lucky to have you as well. So keep doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. It's great to see your face. Wish it wasn't over Zoom, but we'll be out, like I said to everyone else, in 2 weeks and 1 day. Have a great few weeks back on the court, and we hope to have some women coaches events that we can do outside of whatever we do to get together in person and to see you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome to Down the Line TV, Nicole Kenneally, back down under. How's your day going?
It's going great. I actually just hit some tennis balls, and it's a beautiful day in Queensland. As you know, Queensland, beautiful one day, perfect the next. So what can I say?
You're just making us jealous.
Sounds like Melbourne. Are you kidding?
We are the sunshine state. I think you've got it wrong up there.
Sunshine through our window,
Exactly.
not through our skin exposure or 2 hours a day. Nicole, you've just recently come back from the States. How's the adjustment been to having a base back in Australia?
Being with family is obviously terrific. Definitely needed in these times. Definitely some great days, some tough days, just with the adjustment and kind of learning the Australian system again a little bit. But overall, being back with family is fantastic. Where I needed to be. So I am where I need to be. So I'm for that I'm grateful.
Back in the best country in the world. And Nicole, just give us a little bit of insight on what you've been doing over in the States all these years for people that don't know who you are.
Well, I went over as a 17-year-old to play college tennis and loved the whole setup and the system, and was a college coach for over 20 years at the University of Oklahoma, my alma mater. As well as the University of Colorado as the head women's tennis coach there. And then the last couple of years after I left and retired from college coaching, I did a little bit of club work and some resorts, which was totally different experience, but was still just as gratifying.
I had the luck of the fortune to serve under Nicole. Nicole was the head coach and I was her volunteer assistant, which was great for me. I learned a lot about different areas of the game. I think that's one thing that you do have the opportunity to do as a coach, is expand into so many different areas of the sport. Mm-hmm. Nicole, what are some of your coaching goals going forward as an actual tennis coach, the on-court role?
You know what? I definitely still enjoy my time on the court, but I definitely enjoy my time off the court as well. So I'll still get on the court some, but at the same time, I also hope to help assist and benefit and serve different communities in off the court ways to make, and hopefully bring some of the experience that I had in the US, and just different experience than. Rather than just the same thing over and over, injecting something different into a different ecosystem and hopefully make that ecosystem better, and obviously make Australian tennis great.
Oh, we love that, and we might hashtag that one. And Nicole, you are experienced and you've been coaching for a long time. Why do you coach?
Yeah, you know what? My life is tennis. I think my life will always be tennis, and tennis will also always be a big part of my life. I think coaching was just for me a natural stepping stone after I played, and I just really enjoyed the enjoyment of sharing what I had learned and hoping to help that person, whoever that was in front of me. Yeah. So it's that, wanting to share with someone the love that I have for tennis and having them hopefully garner some knowledge from the experiences I've had.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of experience. You've got a vast amount of experience. You've worked in different areas of the game, and you could probably tell us hundreds of great moments that you've had on the court. We want you to go to your first thought that comes. What is your favourite memory as a coach?
Oh, geez.
First thought, Nicole. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
First thought was, well, whether it be a college kid, whether it be a kid that's just starting, or whether it be an adult who is a recreational level, and seeing that moment in their eyes when it clicks, and they, you know, whether it be a strategy or a technique, or seeing them have that, just, it's like you can see like a sunflower rising with, you know.
Mind's eye. What is it? You're looking at it right now. What is the memory? Tell us that visual.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Which story do you want? Do you want the college?
What's that one? Right in your glasses, right in your eyes. Which one is it? What are you looking at?
I had a player in college. She literally, we had to play sets. I actually played her in a set, and we had this little discussion. In the next college match we played, I was on the sideline, and she just like looked at me and she said, "I got her." And she ended up being it was in like the second game of the match. She just like looked at me and was like, "I got her." And like, obviously her opponent didn't see her do that, but I was like, "Oh my God, she gets it." Right? Like, and she rolled her that day, and it would have been a match previously, would have been like probably a 4-on-4, and she rolled her like 2-1, and it was just like, okay, that was really cool.
In the States, you obviously spend a lot of time in the college system.
Yeah.
Is there quite a lot of females in those coaching roles within tennis or even other sports? Because I follow Cara Lawson, basketball head coach at Duke, and she's got she has some incredible things, and I really love the way she goes about it. But there's one. What's it like on the tennis scene?
Yeah, you know what? It depends, right? So usually athletic departments, therefore the conferences that they belong in, all have those statistics on what coaches' salaries are, the makeup of men's and women's. So you can go to some conferences. If you look at the Power 5, okay, Power 5 conferences in the US right now, Pac-12 does a phenomenal job in tennis because out of 11 schools, 9 out of 11 are women head coaches.
Yeah, wow.
Right? But the problem is with that, it also though, is that within the conference, they feel like they're doing a great job, maybe conference administration, but at the same time, they're not getting into the nitty gritty of like, there are other issues still out there. Okay, you've got females in the spaces, but like how can we be more proactive for those female coaches, right? Some conferences, it's going to be completely male, right? Some coaches may have 50-50. So it really depends. As an overall for women's tennis, I'd say it's getting better, but it's not where it could be or should be.
Okay.
Other sports, same thing. You know, that's why you've got great associations in the US, like Women Leaders in College Sports or We Coach. So We Coach is more of an association in the US just for coaches.
Yeah.
But predominantly female coaches, different to the WTCA. And I love what Sarah's done with the WTCA, where it's about helping female players develop. Whether you're a male or female, it doesn't matter. But like, let's talk about the female athlete. Whereas We Coach is specifically for female coaches, but all levels, right? They do a terrific job with, you know, kind of whether you're a junior coach or you're a high school basketball coach. So high school coaches and college coaches are involved. So there's definitely knowledge about it, but again, it just comes down to that. People know that change needs to happen, but no one's willing. It's like, if no one's willing to if people acknowledge that there's a problem, but they're not willing to step out and make a change, it's never going to change. Nothing's going to change.
But I think like we spoke to a lot of coaches just recently is they're not all wanting to move into high performance coaching.
Yep. And I'd say the other thing is too, is continue to create an environment where people are okay being vulnerable and sharing what they need to get better at. Because so many times people are in a certain position and I think they may feel a little constricted because they want to work on something, but they're also afraid to say what it is because they think then they're going to be seen as less than.
Yeah, sure. That's very true.
Does that, right? So it's like, yes, everyone knowing where they're, and I think having an open environment, whether it be at a community workshop or whatever, but talking about what it is that you feel like your strengths are, but continuing to talk about what do you feel like you need improvement in, because that's where we want to step in and we want to help you. We want to develop, we may not have those answers either, but we want to help develop systems that will help you get better in those areas because you're probably not the only one.
A really great discussion, and I feel like we could talk about this all day.
She'd never get to where she's trying to drive to if we kept her here forever, which we could. You are a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. But we want
well, if only maybe next time we can do this with where I'm going, because I'm going by the beach. Sorry, ladies.
Oh, no, that's just rubbing it in, and I think that's where we wrap it up with Nicole.
I can see Russia from my window.
Oh, Nicole, thank you so much for your time, and you're on the road to probably a very beautiful place, but thank you very much for taking your time out to talk to us about this important topic. And
hey, thank you.
Seeing you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you guys are doing. It's terrific.
Thank you. Thanks for your
Thanks,
support.
Nicole.
See ya.